All right, well, I want to welcome everybody. We have about 20 people that are registered that maybe will be coming on in a little bit, but I want to be mindful of time for our speaker as well as everybody else. So I will try to get going. I want to welcome you to, of course, our special holiday session of our monthly Lunch and Learn series. This one is especially timely, I think. As we prep for the holidays, this session will help guide you when you see loved ones during the holiday season. A lot of times we make that call to mom or dad and, it seems like they're doing okay. And on the phone, they're telling you that they're fine and they're telling you that everything is good. And then all of a sudden you go visit them and there's a lot of times when they're not really doing as well as you would have thought they were, or, really just taking a look at them and realizing there's no food in the refrigerator, or, the house isn't cleaned, or maybe they're wearing the same clothes that they've been wearing since the last time you saw them, and they're very soiled. So it's hard sometimes to really, navigate that, especially if you're far away. So an assisted living helps with that because we could monitor as we go along. And Michelle will tell you a little bit of why the holiday season is a great time to move mom or dad. To help, really combat some of those challenges that we find. So we appreciate you being here, of course. I'm sure you'll have some great takeaways from today's presentation. Of course, it's still all things Zoom. I thank you for your patience in case we have any technical difficulties. I know that Michelle was having a little bit of difficulty. She was freezing up a little bit, so now she's on top of the modem. So we're hoping that she should be good. We were good to hear her. We just might have a frozen screen as she shares. So at least we'll still be able to see her, which is going to be great. She's actually, she's been in this business for nearly 20 years, 10 of which I've known her for, which is really kind of fun. And she's dealt with over 9,000 families. So I think that the information will be very, very helpful to all of us. It'll be interactive. We'll have Q&A at the end. And then, of course, we'll try to get to as many questions as possible. And what I'll do after that, Christina I'll do a little intro of the campus like I always do. Christina will do a virtual tour of Ruth's house. I'll introduce Michelle. Michelle will present after the Q&A. I will pick a raffle winner. We've got a gift certificate to the kitchen right in Long Meadow. I think, Eric, you were the last winner, right? Yeah, so I don't know if you had a chance to use it, but it's a great little place right here in Long Meadow. So now, of course, most of you know me, and those of you who don't, my name is Marianne Shelb, and I am the Director of Business Development here at JGS. The JGS campus is not only a great place to work or to live, but it's also a great place to live and rehabilitate. With that said, I'd be remiss if I did not give you a quick little tour into, let me just do, I want to just do a share screen. Give me a second. And hang on. And let me just do, oops, let me move this. And I will do from current slide. All right. So here is the 23-acre campus that we have in Long Meadow. We've got everything from, the nursing home, the rehab, the assisted living, the adult day health spectrum, which is home care, as well, home health, as well as hospice. And then, of course, our independent living. Levitt Family Jewish Home is a 24-hour skilled nursing home with long-term care rehabilitation with secure neighborhoods for our curious exit-seeking residents. Sawson Center for Rehabilitation, the first greenhouse model of care in Western Mass, featuring 2 small houses, all private rooms, all private bathrooms, consistent care teams in a home-like setting. And if you look at what you see there, I mean, it's literally home-like furnishings. I believe the large table in the dining room is from Pottery Barn. You've got the pendant lights. When you look at it, you look at a beautiful kitchen that you or I would have. So it's a beautiful place. If you've never seen it, I'd love to be able to tour you. So let me know. Wernick Adult Day Health, one of the first adult day health programs in this area. Your loved one safe and cared for in a dynamic setting, promoting social interaction and stimulation while you either go to work or you run errands and without worry. You want to make sure that your loved one is being taken care for, and Wernick Adult Day Health is a great option. And of course, you've got Spectrum Home Health and Hospice, quality care that comes to you in the privacy of your own home with a personalized care plan for each patient, because of course everybody is different. Genesis House, which is senior independent living with efficiency in 1-bedroom apartments. You can see by the photo, it's absolutely gorgeous. One thing that people don't realize, it is a subsidized program, where when you're looking at Long Meadow, you don't see a lot of that. And when you're looking at the outside, the inside of these apartments are just as beautiful, and they have access to our family of services, which makes it really nice. And then, of course, last but not least, Ruth's House. And I won't go too far into this because Christina will give you a tour, but this, of course, is our waterfall in the back. Absolutely beautiful. And even though it's secure, that's our garden level, it's set up like a park. It's got park benches and paved walkways, and of course the waterfall in the center. So I will stop sharing. So Christina, you can actually start.
Perfect. And I'm going to try to see. Typically, I show a nice video that we made earlier in COVID times when we were Zooming everyone. But since then, we've actually done a really cool virtual tour on our website. So hopefully you can see that. And I'm going to go to full screen here and just show you. It takes a second because it's lots of big photos, but this is a virtual tour that you can take yourself. It's on our webpage at jgslifecare.org. You go to the assisted living Ruth's House page. It's really cool. It's called a Matador. They come in, they do basically photographs every 8 feet. So you're able to see a really in-depth tour of our facility. Right here is an example of our salon. Let me get you turned around. It really is like you are on a tour. So very awesome piece of technology that we're happy to share, especially for our families that can't come local. Maybe they're in California looking for their loved one. This is a really nice feature. We are proud to have the traditional floors complete, and soon after a renovation that is going on in the garden, which should be completed I'd say mid-February. We're gonna do this for our garden, for our memory care as well. So very exciting. We do have one memory care apartment that's available right now. So if you have any one that might need that, please let us know, and a couple in traditional as well. So with that, stop sharing and hand it back over to Mary Ann.
Very nice. Christina, thank you. Yes, the Matterport tour on the website is very nice. And if you haven't seen it, it's great to actually send some of your clients. I know, like Eric, we work with you with clients, Kate, same, even Carlene. So let us know if you have any trouble accessing it. We can send you a link to it directly. But without further ado, what I'd like to do is introduce Michelle Scalia. And like I said, she's been in this business for nearly 20 years, 10 of which I'm proud to say that I've worked with her over my years in elder care, which has been really fun. When I first started in elder care, she was great. She was very knowledgeable, and I would love to work together with her as a senior living advisor for, at the time, it was a place for mom. She has since retired, but she still maintains all the knowledge that she's ever had, and she was more than willing to share it with me over the years. After dealing with, when you told me the number, 9,000 families, that's incredible. That's really incredible. And I know that having you as part of our family here at Ruth's House, we're really happy that you're here with us. And I'd love for you to be able to share with everybody the benefits of, or navigating the senior living during the holiday season, because I know sometimes it's really hard for folks. So I will let you share your screen and do what you do best.
Thank you.
Yeah, perfect.
Thank you so much, Mary Ann. And I apologize for both an unstable internet connection and I'm not sure you're seeing the best backdrop, but my grown adult children are in and out this week, so I've had to kind of make do. But I wanted to talk about navigating senior living during the holiday season. As Marianne mentioned, I've had many different hats. I worked for Fallon with their PACE program for a while. I was a long-term care specialist and worked both independently and for MetLife. And then at the end of my career, I worked for several years as a senior living advisor for a Place for Mom. I actually worked for their You've Got Leads, which is their CRM. I did that for a while, and I ended my career as the customer acquisition manager for New England. And I retired to be able to spend more time with my family and my husband. What Marianne didn't tell you is that both my mother-in-law and my brother-in-law have been residents of Ruth's house, and it's really provided us as a family with an awful lot of peace of mind. I will also tell you that when I was an advisor, the busiest day for us was the 1st of January.
Oh, Michelle, I think we may have lost you. You don't look like you're muted, but we can't hear you. We could still see. Oh, there we go. Now we can hear you again.
Oh, okay. As Marianne was mentioning, we would often see an increase in calls after families met, whether it be Thanksgiving or Christmas, or if they were together for even Labor Day, we would see an increase in calls. And that's because people often don't realize how frail mom is until they see her up close and personal, and they can see that, yes, maybe her refrigerator isn't stocked to the way she was, or her bread has gotten moldy, or she's not moving, her mobility has declined, or
Oh, Michelle, you faded out again. I'm so sorry. Michelle.
Marianne, this is Amy. Sometimes
Yeah,
it helps if you turn off your camera. You'll get a better signal if you turn off your camera and just.
Okay, so
that
let's
might help you.
try that. I think if I can get back here to the Zoom. Marianne, you can't do that for me, right?
So I can't, no.
There we are. Perfect. Perfect. Okay, so as I was saying, now I'm going to try to share my screen again.
We got the screen up.
We do have the screen up.
We do. Yep.
I'm not seeing it on my end.
Oh, because you're seeing the photo instead, because you've just got the one screen.
Full screen. There we go. Okay, so there are some other reasons that you might want to consider moving mom or starting this discussion during the holidays. And one is social factors. It's getting darker earlier. And what that means for a lot of seniors is they're not going to be able to get out and do things they were doing. They maybe, for instance, aren't comfortable driving in the dark. So that's going to limit when they can go out, what they can do. A lot of seniors face depression during the holiday season. In fact, the American Psychological Association says that 38% of seniors have some holiday depression, and 70% are feeling isolated. So you're thinking about your mom, and what is she doing all day? Is she home alone, just watching the same programs on TV, rather than being involved? At most assisted livings, they do have an activity director. Ruth's house, I think, is super special. They have Andrea, and she keeps them busy. So instead of sitting in their apartments watching TV all day long or not interacting, they're doing activities, or sometimes just sitting in front of the fireplace chatting with friends. So it's just a great way to help mom to kind of get over that holiday depression and have people around her. Also, the staff can monitor if things don't seem right, if she's not eating the way she should. They can alert the family and you can get involved. So that's really, really important. I know often families will turn to home care. And in the winter, especially in New England, we do have to deal with inclement weather. If there's a snowstorm, you have to think about, is that caregiver going to be able to get out to mom? Or if the caregiver comes down with COVID or the flu or just isn't feeling well, that actually happened in my own family last week. My parents were without their caregiver because she was ill. So that it puts an additional burden on the family. What are they going to do with mom? So that's a big issue with home care. And again, something you wouldn't face in a community. And then as we talked about, limited social interactions, things like mom is really might be isolated. If she's used to going to the senior center, if that bus isn't running, or she's uncomfortable driving if the weather's bad, she's going to be staying home. And that can really affect mom's mood, spirits, and memory as well. So that is.
Oh, I know. I feel bad. She even moved to get closer to the router.
Water, they have water bottles around. They're offering them hydration with all of their meals. They even have something at Ruth's house called tea time, which I tell my husband is just another name for making sure people stay hydrated. So there are people around to watch that.
Oh, bummer. Sorry, everybody. And there's that apology for technical difficulties that I mentioned at the beginning of the program.
Even lead to death. It can be very serious. People are hospitalized. And again, if mom is in a community, you know she's being bathed properly. You know that they're keeping an eye on things. If she isn't feeling well, if something is amiss, they're going to alert the family. A risk of falling is huge. If it is snowy out and if it's icy out, I know we used to tell my mother-in-law, don't go to the mailbox. You know, the first thing she did, go to the mailbox. So that's a concern of that risk of falling if it's icy or snowy out, or even inside. If mom is sitting in front of the TV all day and not moving around, she could get weak and fall. That is not a good thing. And again, risks of hospitalization, getting sick. Proper nutrition is huge. Before my mother-in-law moved to Ruth's house, sandwiches were really common for dinner. Often I would hear we weren't hungry, so we ate pudding or crackers, horrible things. So when you're in a community, the community is going to make sure that your family members are eating well. I think today for lunch, they were having chicken marinara at Ruth's house. And Christina can back me up on that. I think it was delicious from what I'm hearing. And I think just the proper nutrition. As we talked about, memory loss, often in assisted livings or other communities, even independent livings, there are activities going on. There's bingo going on. There are word puzzles around. All of that can really help to kind of stave off some of that memory loss. If memory loss is increasing, again, family members who are calling and saying, hey, what did you have for lunch today? Or how are things going? In a brief conversation may not pick up on things where if your loved one is in a community, they may pick up on something sooner. With memory loss, I know sometimes families think, oh, there's nothing we can do. I would urge anyone who thinks that their client or their family member their memory loss is increasing to see a doctor, because there are treatments and getting that evaluated is.
I thank you guys for your patience while we wait for Michelle to come back on. I don't even think she realizes she's frozen.
Visiting, they were not being screened. They could just walk in anytime, sit down with mom. They weren't wearing masks. Where I think with assisted living, I know with Ruth's house, they have a COVID questionnaire. They're requiring masks. So you have that extra layer of protection. People are being tested routinely. I think it can make a huge difference. The other reason that you really don't want to wait to move mom until January is assessments. So before you move your family member to assisted living, to any situation, a nurse has to come out and do an assessment. So you're running the risk of mom all of a sudden having a fall and maybe being a 1-person or 2-person assist, and that can affect things. Or all of a sudden mom is no longer able to go to assisted living and you're looking at a nursing home or you're looking at rehab. So it is easier on an individual, on mom or dad, to transition when they're still able to be independent and take part in activities, rather than be in a crisis situation and all of a sudden you're thinking, oh no, what are we going to do? Who are we going to call? What do we do? I've also often counseled families and said to them, even if you're not looking now, get a folder together, start going, make a plan for when you may need to make a change, because there's nothing worse than being in a crisis situation and having a social worker tell you that, hey, going home might not be what's best for mom, and you have no idea who to call or what to do. So getting your ducks in order, doing things like touring places, doing virtual tours, making contacts with people like Marianne and Christina who can give you information, making sure you've made an appointment with the financial planner, the estate planning attorney, gathering as much information as possible so that if you are in that situation, you have a game plan. Because again, I'm sure Marianne can tell you, and Christina, from dealing with families, that it's better if you can be prepared.
Much better. Yeah, I can attest to that for sure.
Yes, absolutely. So you just want to be prepared. Financial reasons. So I would often, when I was an advisor, and I would have families call and say, you know what, we're going to talk about this after the holidays. What I like to remind families is that, the entire month of December isn't filled with holidays. If you're celebrating Christmas, that's one day, right? You can take your mom out of assisted living for that one day. If it snows, then mom is going to end up home alone that one day, which is not good either. We had a situation with my own mother-in-law where we wanted to take her out for Thanksgiving, and she did not want to leave assisted living because she felt like she really wanted to be there and be with her friends and her Ruth's house family rather than come to our house. So we ended up bringing a pie later in the day. So there's always that alternative. If mom can't come with you for whatever reason, she has that backup plan. So the other reason is, as I mentioned, when I was an advisor, the first business day in January, we were slammed with calls. A lot of people do move toward the beginning of the new year. Also, September is another really hot time families move. So there's fewer apartment choices. So you may have your heart set on that 2-bedroom apartment or that 1-bedroom apartment with.
So interesting. We could see her. We could see the screen. Michelle, we can't hear you. Oh.
Often in January.
Oh. And we're missing good information, right? I mean, it. Look at her talking. She's passionate about what she's talking about. Oh my gosh. Darn it all.
living in nursing homes. I know my mother-in-law really did not want to go to a nursing home, and nursing homes are a lot more expensive than assisted living. And again, that's based on an assessment. Not everyone is a good candidate for assisted living. I, even going through this personally, wish we had moved my mother-in-law sooner, because I think she would have gotten more out of the experience and been able to enjoy more, and it would have given us more peace of mind. But there's a significant cost difference. And again, you're one fall or one hospitalization sometimes away from not being able to have the ability to make those choices. As I talked about, beating that January rush, it's very, very hectic in January. At least if you're starting the process, if you have family coming in from out of town during the holiday season, that's a great time for you to all get together, have a family meeting, do a virtual tour together, see if Christina will let you all cram into her office so you can really make that decision as a family. We all know this, during the winter, there are more illnesses and hospitalizations with the elderly population due to a variety of reasons. So there tends to be some scarcity around apartments during that time of year. So again, really great to maybe at least start the process. Also, I've said this too. The communities, and even I've noticed this with Ruth's house too. People tends to be more things going on during December. The communities are decorated. The staff's in a great mood. There's additional activities going on. I know Ruth's house just had a great outing on the party bus to Bright Lights. So Bright Nights. So there's a lot going on. It's a great time for mom to kind of make some social connections, have a little bit of fun, and it does really help to ease the transition, I think. And then, financial reasons. We talked about this, and I wanted to talk about sources of funding. So people often think this is all fantastic, but how are we going to afford it, right? So there are lots of different sources of funding that you may not even be aware of. So,
Oh, bummer. Total bummer. I'm literally going to have her do this again, right? It's good information and you don't want to miss any of it. Oh.
Available, which is a resource to help veterans and widows. So that's a great source. Some families will pool together, and if it's going to be an additional amount of money, they can divide that amongst the siblings and come up with it. Think of it like a college cost. You can come up with maybe a little bit of it. Also, reverse mortgages. I'm sure Christina and Marianne have a lot of information on those kinds of options. Some families will use the proceeds from the sale of the house or savings, long-term care insurance, or with mom's income. It may be more reasonable than you think, and it may be something that is affordable. And so I would really encourage you to look at have a really good conversation with somebody in senior living who can educate you about what different sources of funding there are and that are available to your family. Marianne, do you have something you want to add? Am I forgetting something there? Or?
So no, Michelle, you've been doing great. The only problem, of course, is every once in a while you're bleeping out. And I don't know what we're missing, because you're being very passionate and giving lots of information because we could see you still. So now, did you mention, and you may have, I've been trying to man emails as well. There were a couple people couldn't make it. They apologized. But now the rates going up in January, did you go over that?
Yes, right. So the pricing in January, a lot of communities do have price increases.
Oh. So a lot of times what we can do is we can actually try to get in before we raise rates. A lot of times, oh, and we got Katie actually must have bounced out. A lot of times what happens while she's not talking, I know. Oh,
Step away from that.
yep, you had bleeped out a little bit, Michelle, but a lot of times we could actually, if we lock somebody in, we could sometimes get the last year's rates. If we do an assessment by a certain date, we could try to do that also, because most places, they do increase their rates, by, 2 to 5% every year, it seems, just because the cost of everything seems to be going up. And we always try to get people locked in to the last year's rates, which we're always trying to save them $1. It's not how much money can we spend, it's really how much money can we save them. So, all right. Sorry, you bleeped out a little bit. I wanted to make sure I filled that in. You're good. Can you hear us?
Yes, I can hear you.
Okay,
So,
perfect.
yes, so beating the holiday rush and getting in there is a good thing for a lot of reasons. And I do apologize for the internet connection. It may have been better if I had actually done this from Ruth's house, and hopefully next time we speak, we'll have a better connection. The last thing I wanted to talk about are tips on touring. I think that this is something that always comes up with families. And again, staffing ratios, response times, how is medication handled? That's, I think, something that's different in every community I visited, how the medications are handled. One thing that was a huge concern with us were meals. What if you don't like what they're having for dinner? Is there another option available? And activities, I always tell families to grab a calendar. That's important. You want to know what kinds of activities they have, what's going on. Ask fellow residents. We did this when we were touring with my mother-in-law. We asked residents what was available and how they liked the community, what their thoughts were.
Talking to, I know, can't hear her, but it is important to tour and find out, is the family, when you're walking through, are there families there? Do they look happy? Oh, if, is there residents there? Do they look happy? Sorry, you bleeped out again.
Oh, no.
It is important to tour and really look, how's the staff? Do they look happy? Are they engaged? Are they saying hello to you? All of that matters because you want to know how they're going to treat your mom or dad when they're there. So actually looking to, see how they're treating you just on a tour says a lot for the community. So, all right.
Right.
So go ahead. Yep.
Are you hearing me now?
We can hear you. We just can't see you.
Okay.
Yeah. Stop sharing.
I blocked that off, so I thought it would be easier. So yes, and I would say also, if you go into a community and it doesn't smell really wonderful, or the residents don't look really well kept, then that's a clue too that maybe this might not be the best place for your mom. But I think that it just, as Mary and I have talked about, asking other families what they've thought, making some phone calls, that's all helpful. But I really would encourage you to get together as a family if your mother is showing any signs of maybe needing a little help, and chatting about your options and being prepared. Does anyone have questions? Are we at that point?
Absolutely. You guys can unmute yourselves and or raise your hand or put it in the chat. I could man all that if you have any questions or comments. Anybody?
Marianne, I just something to add, because I think it's all great information. Thank you, Michelle. And I just wonder what you think about, I tell folks the same thing about, when they're touring, see how clients, employees interact with the person touring them. Are they greeting the residents by name and things like that? The other thing I tell them to do, and I just kind of wonder what you think about this, it might be somewhat helpful. A lot of seniors aren't on social media, but I follow all the communities in this area, and I kind of call it cyber stalking a little bit. I just sort of watch and see what people are posting, and you get a sense of what kind of things communities do, sort of what the vibe is there. Are they recognizing it when employees, when they've been there for 10 years, or a resident who turns 100? And I just think it's a small thing, but it's another way to kind of just get a sense of a place. And I think it's important,
Right.
so.
And Eric, you're right. A lot of seniors are not on social media, but their kids certainly are, right? So yes, I think that that's definitely terrific. If they can get a sense of the community. I also think, just grabbing the activity calendar can tell you a lot. If there's a 100th birthday party and they're having music and cake and it's a big celebration, watching how the staff interacts with the residents is important, and all of that. But social media is huge, and I do think that it's important to kind of see what they're doing. And often they do post pictures of, or you can see staff appreciation. One of my favorite posts was a post that Maddie posted of her. She's a nurse, and she's also the executive director at Ruth's house. She was sitting with a retired nurse, and they had this picture for Nurses Appreciation Day. And I thought, isn't that sweet that she takes the time to connect with someone? So all very important. Yes.
Absolutely. Great question or great comment, Eric. Anybody else? Michelle, I think you did a great job, really covering everything. Even though you bleeped out a couple of times, we tried to fill in where I knew what you were going to be talking about.
Thank you.
I do think that the information is very important to whether it's referral sources or actual families that are looking to move their loved one in. But touring is important. The interaction is important. You really want to see, what type of a life mom or dad is going to be living. Is it going to be engaged? So that's something that we at Ruth's House really pride ourselves on. And you want to make sure that when you're touring other places, you want to look for the same. When you're dealing with other families, you want to encourage them to tour and to look for the same. So Michelle, I am super appreciative. And I think that what we'll do is, gosh, let's hope in a few months we're going to be able to do this in person. And
yes,
I'd love to be able to get more community members in the auditorium maybe, and actually have a great group. And really there's families out there that are having those questions like, what do I do? So they might not, make it for the year end, and try to save on the 2021 rates, but I would like to have you back again and do this one more time, and hopefully for a bigger crowd. I do have, like I said, people apologizing. There was a lot going on today, a lot of different things. I know that I missed a couple of other meetings. It's a crazy time of year right now, but I do appreciate the time that you've spent. Anyone else with questions or comments?
No, this was very helpful for us here at Edelweiss Village in West Roxbury. So thank you, Michelle.
Hi.
Hi, how are you? Nice to see you.
Nice to see you.
That's Amy. We welcome Amy today. We're very excited to have her on the team. She's with Deb there out in Roxbury. So thank you very much, Amy.
Yes.
And I think I saw Audra raising your hand. You just got to unmute. There you go.
Yeah, Michelle, you did a wonderful job. And I just thank you for mentioning the veterans benefits. Again, we talked about it this morning too. A lot of people don't know about the VA benefits, so it's a huge, huge thing to definitely tap into. So thank you and wonderful job.
I've actually had family members tell me that they've even gone to the senior center or the local, they've reached out for help through senior services and haven't been aware of it. And sometimes people say, well, I could never qualify for that. And then they find out they can. So important.
We've got a great veterans officer here in Long Meadow that's very helpful and has worked with quite a few of our clients. So if anybody, I think a lot of times it's town specific, but if anybody's having a difficult time, I'm sure that if we connected them with her, she would be more than happy to, try to help you in your area as well. So yeah, Audra, you're right. Very important. And some people don't realize that they have benefits coming to them. not only as the veteran themselves, but of the surviving spouse. So that's something that's very beneficial to be able to utilize. And then of course, long-term care insurance. We tell people all the time, sometimes they're like, I don't even know what the coverage is. It's like, that's okay, bring your face sheet in. And, it usually gives us a little bit of information that we could go on. We could always, help and call the company with the family in the office. I've done that a number of times because sometimes it is really hard to understand because there's, 100 pages and really it's just a couple of different pages that are going to tell you what the benefit is. So if they bring it in, to us, we could help them do that as well. So,
Right.
yeah.
Important.
Yes. Yeah. Anything else? That was a great comment also, Audra. Thank you. Anybody else have any other questions? I know that next month we actually do have Russ Swallow. So those of you who have ever heard him speak, he actually talks about, he does Medicare workshops. And in January, which it's going to be the 19th at noon, we're going to have Russ Swallow talking about Medicare and really a couple different things. So really how to navigate Medicare and whether it's the new kids on the block, right, including signing up and really not knowing what to do. He's actually got a couple of different ways to explain it that's a little bit easier to understand because it is very confusing. And if you're not really sure of all the nuances, you could really make a wrong choice. So Russ is going to help us understand whether it's the new people just turning 65 or maybe somebody wants to make a change in their coverage. So that is going to be on January 19th. That's Russ. And if you guys bear with me for a minute, I'm just going to grab the names and I am going to announce the winner of the raffle. So give me 1 second. Okay. Okay. And I have Kate Tyler. Is Kate still on?
Oh.
Hey. Hey.
Congratulations.
Yeah. So you got, it's a $25 gift card to the kitchen right here in Long Meadow.
Wow.
So we'll
Great.
arrange, that's funny, we've been talking, so I will
Right.
actually make plans to drop that off to you, or we could meet up for maybe a cup of coffee. I'll buy you a cup of
Yeah.
coffee. I'll
Yeah.
drop you off your
Oh, wow.
gift certificate.
Great.
So congratulations.
Thank you.
This has been wonderful. Yep, you're welcome. I don't know if anybody, we have a little bit more time. If anybody has any events that they've got going on and they care to share, Eric or Carlene. Carlene's going to be one of our speakers coming up. Hopefully we're trying to get a date for February together for Carlene. She's going to talk about what she does, probably clutter doctor, and how to stay organized because Lord knows that's tough for all of us. So anyone else have anything they want to announce? Any announcements or any events coming up with the holidays? All right. Well, then what I'll do is I'll wish you all happy holidays, Merry
Thank you.
Christmas, and whatever you celebrate. But I wish you all well and to stay safe, everybody. And I really appreciate you guys being on the call. And if there's any questions at all, you've got my name, you've got my number. Please reach out to me. And again, Michelle, a pleasure to have you on. And I really appreciate
Thank you so much.
the
Take care.
information.
Bye-bye.
Absolutely. All right, guys. Have a
Thank
good
you all.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye.
Happy
Thank you.
holidays.
Bye,
Thank you. Bye,
Take
Mary.
care.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye now.